Hey, welcome to this week's show of the Palmetto's Sports Talk show. I'm gonna be previewing reviewing some of last week's games and previewing some of these games coming up this week, and especially for the in-state teams that are in action. And I'm gonna give a mid-season report on the Gamecocks since they have played 6 games. But to go ahead and start off, what a week, college football. We saw a bunch of teams fall. I think it was 5 or 6 top 10 teams fell out, got beat. Starting on Thursday night with Oregon losing to Arizona. Then you had the Ole Miss Alabama, which I called. Uh, Mississippi State over Texas A&M. I mean, there were some good games, and I'm telling you what. Um, I'm very, this season is a wild one. I still just do not know where we stand with the playoffs. I'm not ready to make no predictions. I'm not going to make no predictions because it's going to change every week. But let's go ahead and get into some reviewing. Clemson took on North Carolina State and just routed them. This Clemson team does not look like Clemson team from the first 3 weeks of the season. Deshaun Watson has came into his zone. He looks great. I don't know if it's just that Clemson's that much better than some of these teams in the ACC, or if it's just that he's that good. They beat North Carolina State 41-0, shutting them out after North Carolina State's team, I think they scored 41 on Florida State. But Watson, he was on. He threw for 267 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carried the ball 15 times, rushed for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had 4 total touchdowns in that game. Clemson outgained them 493 to 154 yards. Passing 267 and held them to just 35 yards passing. Clemson, done good. They did force 3 turnovers. That may have had something to do with it. And Clemson got 25 first downs, and the North Carolina State's 12. I think they didn't get their first down until sometime in the second quarter, maybe. Jacoby Brissett, who led the ACC coming in with a bunch of statistics, was just 4 of 18 for 35 yards. That's horrible. Mike Watson, though, man, I'm telling you what, his favorite target's Mike Williams. 6 receptions, 155 yards. That guy is 2 touchdowns. I think he had. I mean, he's a stud. Clemson's very fortunate to have Mike Williams. He's a really good ball player. But Clemson looks really good right now, and they got another big one coming up this week. But we'll get on to the other team. South Carolina had, Saturday night had the collapse 2.0. They blew 2 14-point leads. One of them coming late in the fourth. They had a 14-point lead and watched it disappear as Kentucky scored 21 straight unanswered points. South Carolina looked like they were going to dominate the game on the ground starting the game. Had a big drive. I think it was 15 plays, 7 or 8, 9, or so minutes. Just running the ball down Kentucky's throat. Done that 2 possessions. Went up 14-0. Went to passing the ball. 17-17 going into halftime. Then they come out. Kentucky, gets that little trick play that they done. And then after that, Gamecocks went on a run. 21-point run, and then went back to the air and lost the football game. It's not much I could say. They couldn't stop the Wildcat that JoJo Kemp and Towers, and Mark Stoops had going. I don't know. I'm not ready to blame this all on the team. I can say that Dylan Thompson just doesn't look like a clutch quarterback like we had with Connor Shaw. He was 23 of 37, 218 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. But I think this is all coaching. We were doing good passing the ball, but we were getting, I think, it's like 5 or 6 yards to carry on the ground in that game. That's good. That's good enough for a first down. You can get first down 2 plays, get 3 plays. They were doing really good. Mike Davis had a great game. 23 carries, 183 yards, 3 touchdowns. Sean Carson with 4 carries, 37 yards, 1 touchdown. They look really good. You have Farrell Cooper, who's coming on really good. He has 6 receptions for 83 yards, 1 touchdown. I don't know what to say. As a fan, I don't give up on my team. I love my Gamecocks. I was wearing my Gamecocks on Sunday. I love them. I've been happy with the success they have, but everybody has a off year. I look for them to rebuild and be back. This was a rebuilding year. This team is super young. I think they lose 2 starters on 3 starters on defense. They'll return 8 next year, but a bunch of guys that's playing because they're rotating. I mean, a lot of guys have started on this defense this year. I mean, I don't know if we have any set starters besides J.T. Surratt and Gerald Dixon Jr. But they have played really well. I mean, Mike Davis. I mean, the run offense has looked all right in spurts. Just 2 weeks, the offense hasn't showed up, and it's hurt late. But South Carolina's gonna move on. They had 3 turnovers in that game. The Kentucky's won. They had 32 first downs to Kentucky's 22. South Carolina dominated every category. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there, except for turnovers. They dominated every category. Just lost the football game again. It hurts. It does hurt. Just to review some of the games. Oregon lost to Arizona 31-24. Number 3 Alabama was upset by Ole Miss 23-17. Number 4 Oklahoma lost to TCU 37-33. Number 5 Auburn beat LSU 41-7. Gamecock fans better watch out because they're gonna hang up 70 on us. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you that. Texas A&M lost to Mississippi State 48-31. UCLA lost to Utah. Notre Dame beat Stanford 17-14, and Michigan State beat Nebraska 27-22. That's some of the big top 25 games. But I'm gonna go ahead and get into some previews. The Clemson Louisville game this week is sure to be a good one. Bobby Petrino's already got these guys got Clemson fired up, especially the fan base, by saying that the Carrier Dome that they played in at Syracuse was the loudest stadium he think he would ever be in. Death Valley is a pretty loud stadium, Bobby. I've been there a few times. I went on games where the Gamecocks have won and they played like weak teams like Georgia Tech or something, so I haven't really seen it at full, blown loudness, but it's pretty loud. But they face Louisville this week. Louisville will get Will Gardner back, and that's their best quarterback. He's 63 for 112 on the season, 798 yards for 8 touchdowns. He's looked really good. And they're supposed to get Devontae Parker back. He's been out all season. He was a big part of their offense last year with Terry Bridgewater. He had 55 receptions for 885 yards, 12 touchdowns last season. But they got James Quick, who's been pretty good, and Eli Rogers. Both them guys got 20, about around 24 receptions and over 250 yards. They got 2 good running backs, Brandon Radcliffe and Dominic Brown. I see a pretty good game, but who knows? Clemson, man. Every time I want to watch a good game with Clemson and see how their team faces adversity, and man, they just blow teams out the water, and it aggravates the crap out of me. I'd like to watch a good game with Clemson again just to see how Deshaun Watson plays in clutch. Clemson brings in the 10th best passing attack with 235 yards a game. Watson 73 for 106, 1,181 yards. 12 touchdowns. C.J. Davison and Wayne Gallum are the 2 leading rushers, both with 150 yards. Mike Williams is their leading pass receptionist. 21 receptions for 520 yards, 4 touchdowns. He really put on some yards that game. I just seen that. That's really good. But I think this game is going to come down to last week I thought it was going to be a good game, but I had Clemson winning by 14. I don't really know where I'm going to go with this game. I do think Clemson wins. It's going to be a good one. Louisville's got a pretty decent defense. They're very athletic. They run about a 4-3-3-4. They flip it up, multiple front. Sometimes they put guys down. Sometimes they have them standing up. I think this game is going to be, I guess, another, 30 points, matchup. But in the end, I just don't see Louisville being able to beat Clemson. That's why I'm going to go with Clemson 38, Louisville 27. I just don't see Louisville standing a chance at Death Valley. I got Clemson by 11 is giving it Louisville actually a favor because I think that Clemson can beat them by 21. Honestly, Clemson's gotten real good late. They're finally showing out. I bet they wish they could have them first two games. First two of them first 3 games of the season back. But I'm gonna take Clemson here, and I really think they don't. Louisville don't really stand a chance. Some other games this week. We got some big games this week, just like last week. They're gonna set up the SEC West and playoff picture. We got number 2 Auburn at Mississippi State. Mississippi State's tied for number 3 in the nation. They've looked really, 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 really good. Dak Prescott's Heisman, Nick Marshall. It's gonna be a good game. I will not have my predictions on the show, of course. You'll have to wait for later in the week for my blog. But this is gonna be a good game. TCU at Baylor. TCU beat Oklahoma last week, and they slowed Baylor down. They'll beat them, and they'll be really ready for a playoff picture right there. Don't see that happening though. Ole Miss at Texas A&M. Texas A&M's gonna look to battle back. Kevin Sumlin's gonna have his team ready to play against Ole Miss. Ole Miss beat Alabama. I don't know if they're gonna be able to stop Texas A&M, but who knows how that'll go. Texas versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma has looked really good. But until last week, they just didn't show up. I think Oklahoma will win that Red River rivalry. Number 12 Oregon, number 18 UCLA. At the beginning of the season, that game had a lot of hype. It still got a lot of hype, but neither team's undefeated. They both lost last week. So then Georgia at Missouri, SEC matchup. The winner of this game is in the driver's seat for the SEC East Championship, Division Championship. But other than that, I'm gonna get into my South Carolina midseason preview. As we know, the Gamecocks came into the season with high expectations. They were number 9 in most polls. I had them number 9. Had them projected to go 10-2. They're 3-3 right now as it stands. They opened up the season getting killed by A&M 52-28. Then East Carolina came to town, who's a really good team, and they beat East Carolina 33-23. Then had a big matchup with Georgia and beat Georgia 38-35. Then you're thinking you're 2-1. Going into Vanderbilt, they struggled. That's when you start seeing the collapse happen. They should have killed Vanderbilt. It's 48-34. Played Missouri at home. Had that game best defensive performance by this defense this season, possibly last year. I think the last time I can think of a good defensive performance by this defense was Georgia in 2012 at home. They lost that one 21-20. And then this past week at Kentucky, where they collapsed and lost 45-38. I don't know how to explain this season. The easiest way is, you got to try to win 3 games to become bowl eligible. I see 6-6. It hurts me to say that, honestly. I'd love to see 9-3. God, I'd love to see 9-3. But it hurts me as a Gamecock fan to say 6-6. But we gotta become bowl eligible. I think we'll beat Furman. We'll beat South Alabama, but you gotta beat. I'd love to win 2 of these, but you gotta win one of these. Tennessee, Florida, Auburn, Clemson. You gotta win one of them. 6-6 is reasonable, but I'm realistic. But I'm also faithful to my Gamecocks and hopeful. I'm gonna go 7-5. I know it will beat Furman. I think we'll go to Auburn and lose. Then we play Tennessee at home. I think that's gonna be a close one. I'm not ready to call. I think we'll win it. Florida. I just don't know about them, but I know Auburn's gonna be a loss. Clemson game. We ain't gonna get into that. I don't really like to talk about that game until the week of. You never know how injuries and all gonna fare out. But Dylan Thompson on the season is 132 for 216, 1,577 yards, 13 touchdowns. Mike Davis has 103 carries for 551 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's played really good. Brandon Wiles 56 carries for 276 touchdowns. 276 yards, 1 touchdown. Burrell Cooper 30 receptions, 379 yards, 4 touchdowns, and Nick Jones for 27 receptions, 363 yards, 3 touchdowns. The offense, I think the best thing for them to do is they got to start finishing games. Coach Burge knows that his strength is running the ball. He's just got to come to realization with that. He's got to. The offensive line's got a lot better, but he's got to come to realization that running the ball is the strength of his team, and he's just got to, get his head out of his ass and, stop throwing the ball. Defense, they're getting better. I see improvements. The defensive line is supposed to kill us. Linebackers, secondary's getting better, but the defensive line, man, it just hurts that we ain't got, size up there this year. But it's football, man. It's just football. We love it. We love to talk about it. We love to hype it up. At the end of the day, it's just football. I love my Gamecocks. I like watching both in-state schools. I'm not going to say I love Clemson, because I don't. But I support them, and I'm not going to be biased toward them. As you can see, all my predictions, I think I've picked Clemson to win every game this year almost. But thanks for tuning in this week. Hope y'all enjoyed this week. Got Clemson, Louisville, and a bunch of top 25 games this upcoming week. But thanks for tuning in. Make sure you comment or tweet me. I've said it several times. I'll have it on link. Check out my sports blog. Thank y'all for all the support, and go Cots. We're on a bye week, but let's get better, baby. All right, thank y'all.